Well, welcome to another live stream. Let me know if everything sounds great. I don't have any audio meters on my camera. Let's see. Yes, I do now. I sure do. So that's great. Anyway, so we are streaming tonight from the ATEM Mini. So hopefully it looks good. It kind of looks a little bit dark online, but it looks good in my monitor. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. And we do have a poll tonight, so please take a minute to answer the poll question. It's not super complicated. Let's take a look at that question while we're here together. Let me get my mouse over here. It should say, do you use an ATEM Mini Pro ISO, or Mini SDI ISO? And those are all the models that are available from Blackmagic Design. And they have changed models, touched base on that last week. We're not going to talk about tonight. We're just going to really kind of give the ATEM Mini Pro a deep dive. Now, I am using the USB-C out into my computer, so I'm not recording. So I do not have the monitor behind me because I'm having issues with my monitor that hangs here on the wall. It's been having problems receiving a signal from the ATEM. So I don't know if it's because I did the new beta firmware update, but I am using the beta tonight, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's say hi to everybody in the chat here. Let's just make sure I have a chat on the air here. I do. And so let's try this now and see if I have everything set up tonight right for the stream. So there you go. Let me make that full screen so I can see it on my tiny little monitor. That's my welcome. Please say hi in the chat. I do have subscribers only chat on, so you need to subscribe if you'd like to chat with us tonight. So after a minute, you'll be able to chat. And if you are watching tonight and you aren't saying hi, and you can, please do. And if you can't, please subscribe, consider subscribing, and you will then be able to chat. We're going to be talking about the ATEM lineup. So again, please answer the poll. Right now we have 4 votes on the poll. So there are 75% yes. You use one of those devices, 25% no. So let's hope we can get some more votes tonight on this stream. So earlier tonight, I did get a message from Tony. I don't know what happened, Quick Tech Solutions, but it disappeared. But we have Tim Morrow said he's not able to join tonight, but he did stop by earlier and he said hi, and that's really great. I responded to him. There is my response. Grish said hi from Eastern Washington. It's great to have you, Grish, as always. So I said hi back. Cyber Gizmo is in the house, but his comment is now been retracted. So, but good to have you here tonight, DJ Ware. Good to have Hank in the house from Bluffton, South Carolina. And again, I know I was gone for 2 weeks on my vacation, and people are kind of getting back used to getting on with me. So anyway, it's light out, so it does change kind of the lighting, because obviously my ISO, I have it set to auto. So as the sun goes down, it'll actually brighten me up a little bit more. So I would prefer to just use auto ISO, because I do know that this is going to get a little darker as we go, even though this window is tinted. So I did bring something to sip on tonight because I've been slowly getting over a cold. I don't know if you guys have been struggling with the cold that was going around, but man, lots of people in my family have been sick. Let me scoot up just a little bit, and it's been crazy. So I didn't get time to actually draw a layout, and I couldn't get H2R graphics to work correctly. I'm doing something wrong. Every time I open it up on my PC, it goes full screen. And I know I was using that last week when I was using the YOLO Box Extreme. We did go live 4K from the YOLO Box Extreme. We're 1080p this week. We are streaming from the ATEM Mini Pro, which is my first switcher. When I went live, I started out using a Camlink by Elgato. This will bring in an HDMI signal into a computer. This is USB-A 3.0. And so if they made one of these today, it would probably be USB-C. But this is where I started with my Canon 5D Mark III back in my old studio in my bedroom. But my first switcher was the ATEM Mini Pro, and it still works great. I'm using it right now. So that's what you're seeing. I'm going to show you a number of things tonight. You already watched me roll my intro video. Let me just play a clip of that real quick here. So that is my HyperDeck, and my HyperDeck is plugged into input number 4 and 5 because I wanted to be able to bring some graphics on the air a little bit later. So if I go into the key settings, even right now, let me open up the key settings here, and I will change to my laptop. Let's see if I have it live. Let me switch over here to my laptop. Oh, my laptop is not live, so let me switch it. And I'm using a switch to change between my PC and my laptop, and that is input number 2. So let's let this get fired up here, and then I will make this full screen and show you guys what I'm doing here. So let's go to input number 2, and I can put myself in a tiny window. Let's see if that works. There I am. So that is a macro, and that's using kind of the DVE, but I'm using the settings, and we'll talk about that. But let's go over here and go to the switcher panel, and we're going to go to the UpStream key, which you can see right now it's on. And that's displaying that key window up there. So I have to choose between having a logo on the screen or having that. But if I go into my DownStream key, we'll close that. Well, and I just show you, you can see I'm under pattern. I'll move myself out of the way. I'm using flying key. So I'll move myself to the other side of the screen. But you can see I'm using flying key. I'm using the circle in pattern. So with that first key, which is great, I love the power of having the UpStream keys have a number of different folders. Folder 1 is Luma. That's going to just kind of take care of a black background. So you could use that. That's how I normally bring chat on the air. And I have to have my PC input active to bring the chat on the air. And right now I have switched from my PC in input number 2 to my laptop in input number 2, so I can show you the screen, and I'm in picture-in-picture. So you can turn that key off and you'll just see what's on input number 2, or turn the key back on and you're seeing what's in input number 1 on the ATEM Mini Pro up in a little tiny window. Now, if I wasn't using flying key, let's turn it off down here on the right, then you can see it goes full screen. So there I am in a circle. There I am in a diamond. There I am. Let's see, what else do we have centered? Well, I'll show you part of me there. I can do boxes in different areas, but the centered ones are the ones that are actually going to be perfect for where I'm at. So this is just basically full size. So you have to use the flying key function to be able to put it up there. And then you can set a location A and set a location B. So I can fly to A, which is where I had it, B is on the bottom, and then full puts it full. And I do have a video here on my channel that will let you guys learn how to use the ATEM, and it is my best performing video. It has, I think, I don't know, over 115,000 views, and I'm glad that that ATEM Mini Pro video has helped a lot of people out there in the world of social media and YouTube, because it's still a great device. That's why we're taking tonight's stream, and we're going to stream from it. Now, later tonight, I'm going to talk about a new purchase I made. It was not for my studio, but it is for my health, and we're going to talk about that. I even have a box arriving sometime tonight in the middle of the stream if it shows up like it's supposed to. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but we're going to spend some time showing you all the crazy things that you can do with the ATEM. So I'm in the ATEM control software. You can see I only have 4 inputs. I have black, color 1, color 2, so I can put the colors on the screen. Color 1 is white, color 2 is yellow. I can put bars behind me, and I can put the background behind me. So we'll go back to input number 2 behind me. So I can put any one of those inputs as a background because the key is a overlay. And I also have a downstream key. So let's turn the upstream key off, and let's turn the downstream key on, and let's go over to the downstream key. Here it is. Right now it's my PC laptop, and so all it's going to show is what you're seeing right now. But if I was to change this to fill and key from my HyperDeck, now you can see my subscribe logo on the bottom right hand side, and I can still turn me on at the same time. Now I'll hit play and we'll loop this. So if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, because on this channel I teach people how to use a HyperDeck. Right now it's showing animated graphics, and it's showing a fill layer and a key layer. So what is that? Well, let's just explore. Let's look at that logo as it's flying behind me. So let's turn it off, and it's still playing, and let's put the key layer behind me. So now you're seeing in the, and I might as well go ahead in that key, and I will go to full. But you can see right there that it's just keying out the background. That's input number 4 on my ATEM Mini Pro. And what that's doing is I'm playing a transparent graphic, and that is what you call the key layer. Now, if you want to know what the fill layer looks like, it just looks like the logo. But that fill layer does not have the white layer behind it. And so it's not going to be as crisp as it would be if I go back to my laptop. I will turn the key off, and I will turn that logo on the air. Now, both layers are being displayed right now. And let's go back to location. Set A. Let's go to B, and I messed that up. So let's go up to the top left again, and I will reset that. Set A up there. So now A is up here, B is down there, and full is full screen. And I have that logo playing, or that animated graphic, and that's how you can use a HyperDeck. And that's really a really cool feature. Now, because input number 3 and 4 in my ATEM are taken up, let me turn myself off the air again, and here is input number 3, and here is input number 4. Let's turn the logo off. So input 3 in my ATEM Mini Pro, input 4. So 2 layers, and the only way I can combine those is to use a key. And then if you look at that, how you do that is up here in the downstream key, you have a fill source, which I have set to HyperDeck fill. And so that makes sense. Let's go up here. Let's see, to sources. And you can see I've relabeled, and let me put myself back on the air here. Let's save this. Let me put myself back on the air, and then I will bring this back up. Looks like that's going to default to that location every time. So let's go up there. So if I go back into the settings and bring this over so you guys can see it on the screen, you can see under sources, I've relabeled input number 1, camera 1, and the label cam. The input number 2, I have PC and laptop because I have a switch that I can switch between the two. And then input number 3 is HyperDeck fill. That's the A output of my HyperDeck, and it's actually an SDI output. Both the fill and the key outputs on a HyperDeck. When you have a HyperDeck that has fill and key, it has a SDI port. So I had to buy 2 adapters to go from SDI to HDMI from Blackmagic Design. So we'll come back and look at that. So number 3 is HyperDeck fill, and number 4 is HyperDeck key. But here's the interesting thing. Will this cancel? So right now, if I turn that key off the air again and I cut to input number 3, it is just playing the logo without the key background. And then now it's just playing the background. But if I go over in my HyperDeck and I hit the record button once, and then hit input, HDMI, there we go. Now you can see that I have another camera. I am using the HDMI input in the back of my HyperDeck because you not only have 2 outputs, you also have a SDI and an HDMI input. And you have the ability to switch between the SDI input or the HDMI input. And a lot of people don't realize, and I'll switch back to camera 1. A lot of people do not realize, why did that not switch to camera 1? Oh, am I in a key? Let's go back to camera 1. I switched on the wrong device. So again, HyperDecks originally were used for ISO recording. So you'd come out of a high-end camera SDI into the back of a HyperDeck, or the newer HyperDecks have an HDMI input. So now you can have the SDI hooked up to higher end cameras, or if you just need to do a long run, and that's the HyperDeck HD Plus that I am talking about tonight. We'll look at pictures of it here in a minute. But again, because I have switched things over, I have this camera input now coming into either, that's channel 3 and here's channel 4. Because when you're not playing an animated graphic or a transparent graphic with a key layer, both the A output and the B output both play the input source once you switch to record. So again, let's go back to the other camera angle. To simplify this, the HyperDeck has an SDI input and it has an SDI output, and HDMI input, and it has an HDMI output. But I'm already hooked up to the SDI outputs, A and B, and so I am now using the HDMI input on the screen, and that's how I can show this. Now, if I push the play button back on my HyperDeck, it's going to switch over. It's going to be a black screen, and it's going to go back to playing that animated logo. And if I hit the play button again, it will loop that animated logo. Now, you're just seeing that particular channel. I'm just showing you channel 3. This is channel 4. 4 only shows the key background, but channel 3 will show the logo full screen. But if I want to overlay that logo, again, I have to turn on my downstream key so it will play both the key layer and the fill layer right there. So you can use your HyperDeck to play videos like this. See if I can find a video here like this, which is my videos, and they're playing on top of me right now. Or you can use the HyperDeck to play a graphic, a lower third graphic. So let me cue that up again. There it is. Hit play again, play twice. So I can play a video from my HyperDeck, or I can play a animated graphic. Now, all the rest of this graphic is transparent, and it has both the key layer right there. Let's turn that off. And it has the fill layer right there. And so as they play and I switch between them, they are playing from the HyperDeck. A layer is right there, and the HyperDeck B layer is right there. And then again, if I cut to my camera and turn the key on, they play like that. And the reason they're playing like that is I'm now using a key to overlay it on the screen. I am doing that very simply by having my downstream key set to HyperDeck Fill and HyperDeck Key. There is no mask. I could do pre-multiplied, I believe, and it still will play correctly. There you go. You can see it's playing correctly. So it is basically a pre-multiplied graphic, but these graphics will play either way. It might be a little crisper with pre-multiplied on. You decide. That's with pre-multiplied on. That is with pre-multiplied off. And so if I was to change what's in the downstream key, so let's change it to, let's see. Let's change it to Media Player 1. First of all, let's look what's in Media Player 1. It's got my logo. So let's change it to Media Player 1 and Media Player Key for fill. And now that is just showing my logo on the screen. So it can do logos or it can do HyperDecks. And right now we are using it to play the subscribe logo. Now, let's turn that off and let me queue up another graphic. So now if I was to, now this will probably play. Let me stop it real quick once it plays. There it goes. Let's pre-multiply that. Hit play. Not that. Let's find that again. Okay, and let me turn that on the air and hit stop again. So there you have this graphic, and I'll just let it scroll, and it's got a key and a fill layer as well. I'll turn that off and show that to you. Here is the fill layer, and here is the key layer. So again, that graphic has transparency, so it does have a fill layer, and it has a key layer, and when you combine them, they look like this. And so you can use this to change from different camera angles, and this would be called a stinger, and you hide the transitions behind the stinger, and you can see it covers all the layers, including my little me in the window. So I can transition between each camera while that stinger is going across the screen. And again, that stinger is playing in my HyperDeck. Let's go to a better location and stop it right there. So again, the HyperDeck gives you the ability to play stingers, so you can do some nice transitions, but it does take up 2 inputs on the ATEM Mini Pro. And so that's why having 8 with an Extreme is so nice if you're going to use a HyperDeck. But again, you can actually use the other input on it. So again, if I hit record, you're going to see it switch off, and now it's going to put another crazy version of me on top, because now both of those inputs are another camera, because the HyperDeck has a camera input in it. And I could hit record right now and record this camera angle right here, but I'm just showing you that I can sneak in another input by using my HyperDeck. So let's go back to the play icon, and I'll hit play again, and there you go. You are only seeing the background play. Let me find that again. There's the subscribe logo. We'll stop it right there. So now you're seeing the key layer. Now you're seeing it play through. And there's nothing behind it because I'm just playing the input that has that layer on it. So let's put me back on the screen. So the ATEM Mini Pro has the ability to sync up with a HyperDeck. I have it set to automatically play. So if I cued the logo and I have the logo cued and I cut to camera 3, which is my HyperDeck, the logo is going to automatically play one time through because I have the HyperDeck set to auto play. And the way you do that is you click on the little systems icon on the bottom left. And so we'll click on that. Let's see. I don't want that on. We'll click on that with me on the screen. So if I click on that and I go to HyperDecks, here's my 2 HyperDecks. I'm using this one tonight. This is the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, and I have input number 3 selected for fill, and I have auto roll on. So every time I cut to that camera, it auto rolls. And that's kind of similar to having, let's cancel that. It's very similar to having audio follows video turned on, because every time I cut to my HyperDeck, you can see that the audio will play because I have audio follows video turned on down here. And again, I cover all this in my ATEM Mini Pro video, so I hope that you guys will check that out. So, okay, so let's cut back to camera on 3, and actually let's go to me and a logo, and I will go back to my PC, and I'm just switching a switch in my studio. So I have my laptop coming in, input 1, my PC coming in, input 2, and then it has a button to switch between input 1 and 2, and then I have a little button that shifts which one is coming in. And so now I have my PC coming in, at least it's supposed to be coming in, but I do not see, oh, my PC is in now. So let me put chat back on the air. Let's just double check and make sure that it is full screen. Let's click on chat and let's put chat on the air. So audio is a bit low, a bit tinny. I apologize for that. Let's see if I can fix that at all. If it's a little bit low, I'll boost it right here. Check, check, check. Okay. And tinny means that I probably have the gate set wrong. Check, check. Yeah, it does sound kind of tinny. I'm sorry about that. And let's just go in here. Anytime I use the gate, and I don't have my laptop plugged in right now because I'm showing chat. But let's change the attack a little. And maybe the threshold. See, if I turn the gate off, listen to the noise I get in the ATEM. So there's noise right now, but if I turn the gate on, it gets rid of the noise. And it may be because my cable going from my RodeCaster Pro 2 may be crossing a power cable on the way over to my ATEM. I probably should have strung it differently tonight, but I'm going to leave that gate on just because I don't want the dog to get out. Just kidding. Take a drink here. So again, 4 inputs in the ATEM Mini Pro, but if you buy some cheap switches, I think they're like $30 a piece. I'll show you what these look like in a second. Thank you. Please do hit the like and smash it. DJ Ware checking in from Texas. It's good to have you here tonight, DJ Ware. So turn the chat back off. Let's switch back over to my laptop so I can show you guys some more cool things. Okay, so let's push this button. Oh, I see some transparency. So let's turn that off. Okay, and the logo can stay on. Okay, so let's switch back over to channel 2, and I'll put my, let's see, I got to push this button right here, me in a circle. And then let's move that to the other side of the screen again. Okay, so keys have this is the UpStream key. What I love about, what happened to me here? Am I there? No, my logo, what happened? Let's go back to me in a circle. I push some button, go back up here and fly it over there. And I'm gonna set cool. Okay, so if I leave the pattern, that's why I left the screen. So if I go to Luma, you're gonna see my logo and it's flying, right? So if you wanna see it full, I have to go down to flying key and hit the full button, and it goes to its normal location. Fly it to A, it flies up there. Fly it to B, it flies down there. And the same thing happens with me if I fly to A, to B, to full. And that's the power of flying key. And that's available in Luma. You got flying key. Chroma key, you have flying key, and chroma key would be for getting rid of a green screen behind you. And you can see it's like picture in picture right now because flying key is on. So believe it or not, I could use this like a DVE with flying key, but let's turn flying key off. And now I'm full screen because I've chosen camera 1. If I chose color bars or color 1 or color bars, that's what's going to show up if I click on chroma key. Pattern is me inside a circle, and DVE is set to my laptop, but I could also set that to camera 1, and then I could move that DVE around the screen. So though the UpStream key has more than one option, I don't need these on, how you can use it. Hear myself delayed. Not only can you use it as a DVE? You have to choose. You can't use one of these folders at the same time as another folder. So if I just want my logo on the screen, I've got to use Luma. And so a great way to do that is to program macros. So again, let's go back to me in the pattern. So I'm on the screen, and let's turn flying key on under pattern, and let's fly to A location. So if you want yourself in a shape, you got to go to pattern. If you want yourself in a square, you got to go to DVE, and DVE has the ability to do border and a shadow where pattern does not. You can mask a pattern, so I can mask the top. So I can mask the left, but I don't need a mask right now. I just need to have it flying, or it will be full screen. So again, the upstream key has 1, 2, 3 folder options, and the downstream key does not. The downstream key, you can assign it to different inputs. Like here, I can assign it back to the HyperDeck, or I can assign it back to camera 1. And if I turn it on the air, you're going to see camera 1 full screen. If I change it back to HyperDeck, and I go to my HyperDeck up here, and let's play my Stinger transition, hit play. Let's turn it on first and hit play. Now you see the Stinger transition, and I can stop and start it with the play deal here. I could go up here and play my intro video. I could play my outro video. I can play the please subscribe, that version. I have another version on here. And hit play on that one. And I have a version 3. I don't know why I have so many versions on here, but this is my newest one. And it's got the little share that falls off the page. So again, an upstream key and a downstream key, they are absolutely amazing tools that you can use in your streams. And if you create a macro, here's a macro that puts this camera view on the screen and my logo. So it changes the key to Luma. It makes sure that my logo is loaded, and it then will put me and my logo on the screen. So if I was to show you input number 2, and again, let's real quickly, under palettes and upstream key, let's go back to pattern so I can be on the air. Let's put me back on the air there. What happened here? Camera 1 on the air. There I am. And then let's fly it. And there we go. So now you have the control software. Here is the page that shows you what is in the box. So if I wanted my main still image in the media player, now I've got to put it on the air. I can put it on the air by hitting the media player 1 cut button. And so now it's on the air. Or I could go over here. You don't need me. I could go to my downstream key and change it to media player fill and media player key, and then put it on the air that way. I can't fly it because my downstream key does not let me fly anything around. So it's great for lower thirds. So let's drop my lower third over there and then turn the downstream key back on. So it's great for logos like that. So most people are going to use their downstream key just to have their logo, and they'll leave it on for their whole show. And then when you change inputs, the logo is there regardless of what input you change to. So now this is an interesting little thing I have on the screen right now. So let's put me back up in the corner, because I have taken the input number 4 and I've split it as well, which means that I have a A/B switch, 2 inputs in and 1 input out. So if I switch that back, it just goes to the key layer. And if I hit that button again, it goes back to, and let's switch microphones here. Now I'm on my Wireless Go II mic. Now I'm actually using my OBSBOT Tiny 3 camera. So I can bring you guys up on my ATEM Mini Pro. So hopefully that's in focus. But there you go. There's the ATEM Mini Pro on my desk. You can see I'm on the air. I'm not recording. I'm on input number 4. And if I push that button, input number 4 will go back to a key layer from my HyperDeck. So I'm able to bring an extra camera in through my HyperDeck. I'm actually able to bring an extra input. Like right now, I have my OBSBOT Tiny 3, which I can zoom in and out with the remote control. So there I am zooming in with the plus button right there, zooming out. I can program these locations by holding down P1. So I'm programming P1, then I'll zoom out and then move up here so you're not seeing my lap, hit P2. Now it's programmed, and now let's zoom out. Let's zoom in a little further, and let's peek at the 2 HyperDecks here. There are the 2 HyperDecks at an angle. This is the HyperDeck I'm using tonight, right there. And let's zoom in as close as we can get. I apologize for the weird angle. The overhead camera just does that. We're going to hit P3 and program that. So now, if I hit P1, it's going to go over here. If I hit P2, it's going to stay there and zoom out. And then if I hit P3, I'm going to be over here on my HyperDeck. So again, the HyperDeck has this input button, which changes between the SDI input and the HDMI input. So if I push the record button, and then I push the input button, switch it to HDMI, then it will bring in another camera. But I'm using that input right now to show you guys the OBSBOT Tiny 3. So now it's finally here, and now I can show you that input as well coming through the HyperDeck. So I have this camera available, I have this camera available, and I have this camera available, which is showing you guys my HyperDeck. Now it's back on the ATEM Mini. And I'm using the remote control. I'm also using the adapter. Let's see if it's back here where I can get it. If it's too buried. I think I can bring this on the screen. Let's go to P3, P2. So this is the UVC. So my camera's coming in right here from my OBSBOT Tiny 3 USB-C. It converts it to HDMI. And then this little, let's zoom into this so you guys can see it. We might as well use the OBSBOT Tiny 3 to show you this. So USB-C power and my little dongle, which is a Bluetooth dongle that receives this remote control, and then HDMI comes out here. Now this is going to convert a camera to 4K or HDMI, whichever you're doing. I think I'm at 2K right now. I haven't got it to work at 4K, but 2K is coming out here right now, but you guys can only see tonight HD because of the fact that ATEM Mini Pro will not, it converts 4K down to HDMI. So you guys are seeing an HDMI signal tonight live. So again, the ATEM Mini Pro, if you use a couple switches, let's bring those up here on the screen now. And then we'll get back in the chat here momentarily. So let's go 1 in, 2 out, HDMI switch. These are similar to the ones I use. So let's cut to my laptop here. And let me I'm on the screen. So this is very similar to what I'm using. So I have 2 of these tonight I'm using. I almost only have 2 of these in the studio. Tonight I think I have 4. I use one of these to change between my HyperDecks on my monitor. So if I want to see HyperDeck 1, I can see it on my monitor, or HyperDeck 2, I can see it on my monitor. Audio looks a little hot. And then it comes out. So you just push the button and it switches between input 1 and input 2. And that's how I am bringing the OBSBOT Tiny 3 in tonight, is by using one of these. So I've got one connected to input number 3, and I have one connected to input number 4. Number 3, no, I take that back. Let me look at my setup here again. I have one hooked up to input number 2, and I have one hooked up to input number 3, and then input number 4. So again, one of these is hooked up to input number 2, and one of these is hooked up to input number 4. And then input number 3, because it's a HyperDeck input, I can switch it between this camera angle right here. And then again, if I push the play button, it's going to go back to the HyperDeck. So again, that's what's really cool about having that, is that I can actually bring in my OBSBOT camera, which is really cool. So let me cut back to input number 2, and hopefully I won't get too confused here about what's working where. So again, I'm gonna hit record again, hit the input button. My HDMI is gonna come back in. And now again, I can switch between camera 1, my laptop. Camera 3 is this camera over here coming through my HyperDeck, and camera 4 is my OBSBOT Tiny 3. And again, I have these different programmed locations with the remote control. And I'm converting the OBSBOT Tiny 3 from USB-C, so it's a UVC to HDMI converter. It costs about $169, and the remote control is $49. And again, that device is right here, and it's version 2. If you look nice and close, I believe it actually says version 2 right there, really tiny, right above my thumb. And it's barely itched in. It has a 2 right there. So you want to make sure, for sure, you buy version number 2 and not version number 1 if you are going to buy that device. So, okay, let me turn me back off, and let me go to the HyperDeck page. we'll go ahead and go to B&H here because I'll be able to show you the front and back. So here's the front, and let me zoom in a bit here. You have a better view of that. So here's the input button I'm hitting, and you can see right up here, it will tell you if you have 2 discs plugged in. So here's SD slot 1, SD slot 2, and on the back, you can actually plug in a drive right here. So you can have a SSD drive right there. So you have power, you have additional power here, you have Ethernet so you can update it and control it from your ATEM. You have your USB-C port right there. Here is your HDMI out. So this is either or. So HDMI out would be right here and SDI out is right here, and you can switch between those. And I'm coming in HDMI right here. So I have my second camera, the one that I showed you guys, coming in right here. And then out of this A and B port, I'm coming out of A and B, and they're going into input number 3 and 4, but I have to convert those first. So let's go right here. And I will go SDI to HDMI converter image. And micro SDI to HDMI. So I have 2 of these. For some reason that is not displaying. So let's try. So this is HDMI to SDI, and they also make come on, guys. It's not that complicated. SDI to HDMI. Let me go right to Blackmagic Design, microconverter, SDI to HDMI. Okay. So there you go. I have 2 of these going from my HyperDeck. So you go in, and then the other side has HDMI out. And so you have to plug in power. They used to be the old version of SD or USB power. Now they have the new SDI or the USB-C port. So you can power it with pretty much any little USB plug-in, but it does need power. You can buy these with the power supply. So this one's $79 because it includes the power supply, or you can buy it without and use a power supply that you already have. So you're going to need 2 of those to use the HyperDeck. So keep that in mind if you're going to use the HyperDeck. So back to the HyperDeck. This is the one that has key and fill. It's $765 right now at B&H. And again, you have the ability in the back to have an HDMI input. You have the ability to monitor output in HDMI. If you monitor through the SDI, that's SDI in right there, so you can go in SDI or in HDMI. But if you use reference out, it has extra information on the screen. So you'll get extra information. It'll tell you what SD card you're using. It'll tell you what the HyperDeck name is. It will tell you what resolution that you have the file on it. It'll tell you what codec it is. So if it's ProRes, it will tell you that on the screen, and it'll tell you what source you're using, the HDMI or the SDI output, which is a lot of fun having those kind of inputs. If you just want to clean out, then use the HDMI out right here. If you want an information out, then use the SDI reference out. Where is it? This one right here, monitor out. So right there. Reference in and out and time code in and out is so you can sync everything up with other HyperDecks. Here is where you do fill and key. You have USB or SDI out A. This is the fill layer, and this is the key layer. So this is the white layer that I showed you guys earlier tonight. So again, if I hit play again, hit stop, and then show you guys this. Let me switch out of my OBSBOT camera. And then again, there is the key layer. That's SDI out B. And this is the fill layer right here. Come on. So that is the fill layer. And this is the key layer. And you bring those in through your keys, and you can layer them over top of something else on your screen. So you want to get this HyperDeck if you want one of the newest HD models. It will record in 4K. It will also pass through 4K. So if you want to record a camera at 4K, you can. But your ATEMs, the ones that we're talking about tonight, all only do HDMI. So it's going to convert 4K down to HDMI, and that's what you're going to be showing people on the screen. So I have a link in the description to a HyperDeck. I do not have links yet from Amazon for the converters, but if you do buy a HyperDeck, you are going to need 2 of these SDI to HDMI converters if you want to do what I was doing tonight, and that is lay things over top of the screen as a graphic layer. Okay, so now let me go back to my laptop and back to the chat. Let's cut back to camera 1 and we'll turn the key off. Turn that key off and we'll go to me and a logo. And then let's put chat on the air. And let's go back here. It's good to have you, Film Photo. I don't think I've seen you here before. Hey, Keith, nice setup. I just uploaded a video of my studio. Check it out, and all the best. Yeah, thank you for joining me. Let us know if you are using an ATEM Mini. We do have a poll available tonight. We have got 11 votes. 82% of the 11 of you that voted say that you are using one of those ATEMs, either an ATEM Mini, a Mini Pro, a Mini Pro ISO, or a Mini SDI ISO. So if you do have a version of an ATEM, please put that in the chat tonight so other people can see what you're using. And we're going to go here in a minute to the Blackmagic page so you guys can see that. Nice work. Thank you. Nick Lang gang, thanks for stopping in. Make sure you guys all check out my ATEM Mini Pro video getting started. It is in the description tonight, as well as some Amazon affiliate links. And if you do use those, I do get some commission. So thank you for using the links in the description tonight. Also, India 2174, those small ones push button comes in handy. Yes. Those little push buttons on the ATEM come in handy. Thank you guys for joining me live tonight. So, okay, so I've showed you how you can use a HyperDeck to bring graphics on the screen, to play stingers, to use the HDMI input or the SDI input to bring a camera on the air. And the way these switch between play mode and camera mode is, play mode is the play button. So if you're in camera mode and you push play, it's going to start playing the last video you have on your SD card or your SD drive if you're using it. And if you hit the record the first time, it switches over to SDI input, HDMI input. Now it defaults to SDI input, so you got to push the little input button on the front of the HyperDeck to change to HDMI. And I forgot that tonight, and I was confused why I was not getting that extra camera angle in tonight. I also showed you by using switches that you can bring in, you can use one input to bring a couple cameras on in your studio. So you can't have them both on the air at the same time, but it does give the ability, like tonight I'm using a switch. So if I want to show you my laptop, let's turn chat off the air. I can switch my laptop now instead of my PC. And as soon as that populates, then now I can bring my laptop on the air so you guys can see my control software. I'll leave that up, and I will right click in OBS over here. And let's see, how do I do that? I need to go up to, oh, I won't do that. Let's just leave it like that. Okay, so I can put chat on the air. That's also how I bring Skycam on. So here is my Skycam. So we will bring that on the air right now, Skycam on. And for some reason, I have messed my Skycam on, and it is not showing what it's supposed to show here. Let me right click and open this. Weird. Skycam off. We won't mess with that. So anyway, let me cut back to me because you guys are only seeing my control software, but for some reason, my Skycam on the air is not working. So again, that's my laptop. So if I switch over to my PC, there is my Skycam. And so I can change angles on my Skycam using my Insta 360 cameras. And I'm using OBS screencasting it full screen to my ATEM, which my PC is plugged into. So you guys can see all these different inputs. I can actually go up here and change to another camera because I have two of these. So I'll turn that one off and this one on. And so now I can switch views on this camera. I evidently didn't switch them. So I have two cameras tonight that I can bring webcams on the air as well. So I'm doing all this with an ATEM Mini. I'm using OBS right now to show you these webcams. I also use OBS to display chat. So if I click on a chat, chat is now on the air. And if I cut over here to me and put chat on the air, then it's over top of me. Again, I am using OBS to do this. Nick Lang says, I'm using the ATEM Extreme ISO G1. Yeah, I have three of those in my studio. That is a great device. It can do super source, but I'm going to show you guys a trick tonight using OBS to do super source on an ATEM Mini Pro. So I'll show you guys how to do that here momentarily. Good to have you, Gris. Just noticed the monitor in the background behind you is no longer behind you in the main camera. When was that moved? Well, it's right here. It's not working. So it's right there, but it was not working. I think it's dying. It's an MSI monitor. I may have to replace it. I've been using it for 5 years now. And so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and tonight it wasn't working. Okay, Grish says, at Film Photo. We'll check yours out after this stream. So that's a response to that invitation. Hey, Keith, nice setup. I just uploaded a video of my studio. Check it out. All the best. So go check out his channel. We do like to promote other YouTubers here on the stream. So I'm going to turn chat off the air. Now that we caught up, and change back to my laptop. And we're going to try something here. It's quite tricky. So let me bring my control software over to another screen. Let me open up OBS. I think it's already open. And let's put let's see, how did I do that last time? Let me bring this over. So here's my layout. Now, for some reason, my OBS, if I have this full size, it does this. So I've created an overlay, and I don't know why it's doing this, but I got to make it really tiny for it to work. And so this is my program input coming in. I can go to studio mode real quick, and so you guys can see it. So this is the preview coming in right here. So when I switch from my main camera to my laptop, it puts preview in the program mode, and then I'll show you what I did. I have the USB-C port plugged into my laptop. So I went up here to outputs, and under web out, I have it set to preview. So that means when I'm showing you my laptop, the preview screen is sending a USB-C webcam out into OBS. And that's how I pulled that off. So you set webcam to preview. And I'm going to pull this back over. You bring it in to OBS. So I have my ATEM Mini Extreme coming in right here. It is a video input, and it's Blackmagic design, and you can see it's the preview. And I don't know if my lips are in sync or not, so we'll click OK. And then I'm also doing a display capture of the control software. So let me go back to studio mode. Let me right click and open this up in Blackmagic Design. Bang. And now you guys are seeing, we don't need this macro panel open. I can't fix that right now. You're seeing super source from OBS and an ATEM Mini Pro. I cracked the code. So you can do layouts through OBS and then bring them in as a screencast into your ATEM. So now I can switch between just me or me, and you can see it takes it a second because it's going from a copy of what's in preview, and you can see it takes a second, but you now have me in the box in preview, and you have a screen capture of my control software. And if I don't want my control software there, I could use something else on my laptop so you guys could see that. So it's not as easy as using SuperSource and an ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, or a 2ME, or a 4ME, or a SDI Extreme ISO, but it is, or a G2, because they're not making the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO anymore. They make the ATEM Mini Extreme, they make the ATEM Mini SDI ISO, but they no longer are making the ATEM Extreme ISO. So if you want one, you better grab one from B&H or Sweetwater or one of those sites. But I've used OBS tonight, cracked the code, and I created a super source in OBS so that I could display it full screen. Now, it's a little difficult to turn it off. I've got to bring my mouse over. Let's go to that input, which is input number 2, and make it full screen. I got to bring my mouse over and right click and hit close to get my screen back. And so if I switch back now, you guys are seeing my OBS layout. Let's see, multi-view. You are seeing my OBS layout as a screencast. So again, it is a way to do a picture-in-picture 3-area layout. I could bring in a webcam too if I had a webcam plugged into my PC, but turning it off is a complete challenge for me. So let me go back to me. Let me try this input again. Let me go to input 2 full screen on my monitor. Get out of the commercial. And again, let me bring my mouse over. There it is. Right click. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't let me right click close. There's probably a hotkey. Oh, it's on my monitor screen. Okay, so let me go back to multi-view so I know what you guys are seeing. You switch this back. So again, here's my layout. I've got my ATEM Mini Pro coming in as a source. I've got my laptop coming in as a source. Let's see if we could add my webcam. Let's do a video capture device. And let me click on Add Existing. And it's not showing my camera in my studio. Let me double click on this. That's the screencast, sorry, image. Okay, I got a background. Let's try this one more time. Let's bring in a video capture device. Sorry about that. And I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click on my USB-C cam. There we go. So let's make this right here. See how that translates. There we go. Now if I right click and open that in Blackmagic Design, there you go. It is now full screen, and now you can see I have a 2-camera layout and my laptop, and I don't have anything on my laptop for you guys to see right now. So I'm going to right click and close that. Now we're back to OBS on the screen. So you can see that there are hacks using OBS. And again, I had trouble tonight with H2R graphics. It was taken over my full screen, so I'm not going to play around with H2R graphics tonight, but we are going to minimize OBS. We are going to go over here to Blackmagic Design. Their website. For some reason my control software closed, so I need to open it back up again so I can turn me in a circle on. And so we're going to go up here to products, get my mouse back. We're going to click on ATEMs, which is got this crazy thing on there now. It used to be a picture of the little ATEM minis. So here's the models. You have an ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini Pro ISO. You have a ATEM SDI and an ATEM SDI Pro ISO. You can buy the ATEM SDI Extreme ISO, and you can buy an ATEM Mini Extreme ISO G2. So, but there is no ATEM Extreme ISO available right now. You have to buy the ATEM ISO, or you're going to have to step up to a G2. You can see the price difference. If you buy the SDI model, you got to convert all the inputs. It's going to cost you $1,645. And if you buy the the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO G2, it's going to cost you $2,195 US. So you decide if you guys like that. Now they have the consoles. Here's the HD version. Here's the ISO HD version. So you can buy a console that will record just like an Extreme. There's lots of benefits to having this console, but it's huge. It also costs $4,400. But you can buy the 4K version, but it doesn't ISO record. So that's like a ATEM Mini Pro, only records the program. Then you have the 1ME that does not have Super Source. I don't think it does, but I might be wrong. I think the 4K model does and the HD model doesn't, but I don't know for sure, so don't quote me. But the 2ME and the 4ME and the 4K Constellation, these all have Super Source engines in them, and I think the 4ME has 4, the 2ME has 2 Super Sources, and then this one has 4 as well. But again, I've never owned one, so I don't know. They've added these new IP models. So it's a 4ME IP. So it's got huge abilities in that. Also have the monitoring rack panels available in a 20 and 40. You have the ATEM Constellation 8K available. It's been around for a while. Then you have the control consoles that are designed to control these different devices like this one. You have the small micro camera control panel, and you have the ATEM camera control panel. And then they also have a little console that's not showing up on this page. And then HyperDecks, you have the HyperDeck Mini. This does not have fill and key, but this one does. The HyperDeck Studio HD Plus does. And then they have the bigger models, the HD Pro and the HD 4K. They have a nice knob right here. It's a lot better quality. You also have these type of storage devices where these have SD cards, 2 slots. They'll automatically flip over, and you can plug an SD drive into these 2 as well. But if you want one that will do fill and key, you got to buy that one or these 2. You also have these bigger 4K models. This is a controller for both of these devices. The 4K and the 8K can be controlled by that. There's also buttons on here. This is very similar to this, and it's got a recorder built into this HyperDeck Shuttle. So you can see you got the monitor controls touchscreen right here, but if you want big knobs and a scroll wheel, you got to buy that device. This is really cool. It doesn't do fill or key either. This is called the HyperDeck Shuttle 4K and the HyperDeck Shuttle. Neither one of these do fill and key. I believe, I might be wrong. So let's look at the back of these. Here's the back. And yeah, it has SDI in, SDI loop out, SDI out A and B. This does fill and key. That's really cool because the other shuttle does not. So this is a great device because you can do animated graphics, fill and key from this device. So I highly recommend, if you can, put this on your desk instead of one of these HyperDecks right here. Right here, because this device gives you this giant screen. So where the regular shuttle has no screen, this shuttle, which I own one of these, it has no screen. It does not do fill and key, but this new HyperDeck Shuttle 4K Pro does, and I love that. So it does have an A and B fill and key out, SDI in, HDMI in, so you could pass a camera through it, do the trick I did tonight. It's got the nice jog wheel. It's got an SD card reader, so you can put an SD card. It doesn't have two. It only has one, so you don't have that failover mode. But again, it's got a headphone out, so it's a great tool. I don't know why they don't show the back of the little shuttle. Let's see if they show the back of the little shuttle here. But it tells you what each of these outputs do. So snap a picture of that frame real quick if you'd like to know a little bit about what each of these inputs are. I've had this up on my channel before as a still image. I'll grab it again right now. Put that into my folder, save as today's folder. Okay, click save. Then I could go into my ATEM control software. I'll bring that over just so you guys can see what I'm doing. Go to the media player. Go to my... I can go this way and drag it in because I know that this folder will pop up. So I could drag this into a slot, which is the fastest way to do it for me. But I could also go over here to my C drive, go down to users, go to Keith, right here. Where am I going to go now? Man, I don't even know where to find it that way. But you can find still images here as well and bring them in. I'm just having a brain fart right now. So we'll do it the other way. So let me open my folder again. Open this up and let's drop this graphic in. And then if I wanted to, I could bring that on the air. Full screen. Switch to Luma. This should be media player 1. So now the graphics up there, I have flying key on. So there it is, full screen. So there's all the inputs that are available for that HyperDeck Shuttle 4K Pro. And I really like that device. I highly recommend considering that HyperDeck. If you are going to get a HyperDeck, then I would suggest grabbing that HyperDeck. So, okay, so back to lots of choices on Blackmagic Design's site, but that is the HyperDeck right now that I realize it has fill and key. I don't know why I didn't realize that or remember that, but I haven't done any research on that device for a while. Okay, so let's go back into my software and let's go back to Luma and let me bring in a different graphic here. So you guys let me know. Let me get back to this and go full screen. I just purchased a e-bike. In fact, I thought it would be really cool to bring the lower thirds on the air at the same time, but I can't do that because I can only have one still image on the screen at a time. So, and I'm using my UpStream key for this. I could have that on the air and me. So let me go back to pattern and bring myself to position A. And then let me go into my downstream key. And downstream key. And let's make it media player 1 and 2. And I should be able to just put that behind me too. So there we are. So there's me on the screen with the Mayan. This is called the Segway Mayan. It was introduced at CES. It's an e-bike. It also has a throttle. You can set it to be in an e-bike version 2 or an e-bike version 3. I think 2, you're limited to go up to 20 miles an hour, I think, or 19 miles an hour. I can't remember. But Shannon bought a bike. She has Biachi, I don't know how to pronounce it, and I have a Segway. And if you'd like to know more on this channel about my e-bike, let me know tonight in the description. I am going to be making some videos on this bike and do a little playlist on my channel because I think the technology, not just in the studio, but technology to go enjoy the outdoors. I plan on figuring out how to do a live stream from that bike. So, oops, it's actually, where am I at? It's actually over there when I'm in the little circle picture-in-picture. And I can actually make myself bigger in picture-in-picture than I am right now. So we'll go a little bigger. So there is my new Segway Mayan bike. I'm putting a rack in my truck. It's made by Ride 88. So let me bring up the Segways page here. So here's the Segway page. It's a $2,000 bike. I sweet talked my salesman, and he happened to have like 20 coming, and they gave him a discount on a demo, and he let me buy the demo. So I bought a bike in the store, and he gave me the big discount. So I didn't pay $19.99, and my wife got a used a brand new 2024 Biachi, so she saved about $900 with rebates on that bike. It's about a $2,600 bike, and my Segway Mayan is a $2,000 bike. But here's some information. I've added the radar on the back. I've added the Segway removable top tube. And I also added another feature that I don't see here, but they have a seat post that automatically comes up and down with a button. So when you get to an intersection, you can lower it so you don't have to be on your tippy toes. And then when you pull out of the intersection, you put yourself all the way up in the air, and then you can have the seat come back up. And it has 3 settings: slow, medium, and fast. You do not want to be close to the seat when it comes up and whacks you fast. Trust me, I tested it. But the radar lets me know if there's anybody going 4 miles an hour faster, approaching me on my left side or my right side. On the steering column, there's 2 controllers, and there's a light on the inside of both controllers on the right and left of the bike. I don't know if I have any pictures of that here. On their site, I wish they would show me an up close of the controls, but there you go. So right here, there's a light, and that'll flash when they're coming up to me on the right. That's their video playing. It has a headlight in the back. The radar you take out the reflector, and the radar goes right here. It's got a really nice headlight. It works with an app. You can do music through the Mayan bike or through your phone. It's got locking. It's got theft control, locating it if it gets stolen, just like a Apple AirTag. It's got one built into it, so I can find it and locate it if someone steals it. But anyway, and I bought a bag for the back of mine. But yeah, this right here is what flashes. This shows you if someone passes me on the left, it flashes, or passes me on the right, it will flash and let me know. But that is an option. I added that. I added the seat pop-up tool, and I added the crossbar to let me mount things on. It gives the bike more support. But this is an incredibly tricked out bike. So if you guys would like to know more, let me know in the comments, and I will then share about it here on the channel. Let me go back to me and my logo, turn off Super Source. So that's the other thing I was going to talk about. If you'd like to know a little bit more about my Segway Mayan, I'll bring it into the studio. Anyway, so that's all I have for tonight. It's been an hour and a half. I do want to get back to the chat. So let's go back to my PC. Let's go back to having chat on the air, and let's see what else we have here going on in the chat. You're welcome for the shout out. Grish Labs, I feel like your base resolution is different than your program resolution in OBS. Look at the settings video. This should fix the different size issue. Yeah, I feel like your base resolution, I changed it. It's really weird. So I will look at that again. I've had this problem before, but I thank you, Grish, for helping me out. Good to have you, Tony, in the chat tonight. I am on the ATEM Mini Pro live streaming. I have showed how you can bring in the OBSBOT Tiny 3. I have showed how you can do a super source layout through OBS and bring it in. I have chat on the screen. I've also showed my sky cams. It's been a lot of fun, but it's good to have you. It's good to have you, TVJ. Thanks for joining me. We are diving into ATEM Mini Pro for the next couple weeks. So we're going to try to get H2R graphics working next week on the ATEM Mini Pro. But again, I have a HyperDeck Studio HD Plus plugged in. I can bring a second camera in to it just by pushing the record button and the input button, changing the signal to HDMI. And then after it gets a second, let me go back to multi-view. Eventually, no signal, HDMI. Let's try this again. Input, there it goes. I can bring in this view as well through. So I have this view, I have this view, and then if I really want to get creative and push that button, I can also bring in, give it a minute, my OBSBOT camera, and I'm using the, not the HyperDeck, I'm using this UVC converter. So I'm bringing in an HDMI, and I'm using one of Joe Torelli's favorite things, and that's these two switches. Oh, I wanted to show you guys these tonight before I go. This is how I'm bringing in extra inputs. So I'll zoom in on these. So this switches between my laptop and my PC, and that's input 2. And this one right here changes between my SD converted to my HDMI SDI converter that does my my key from my HyperDeck. It switches it over to my OBSBOT input. So I have my one side right here is my OBSBOT, and the other side is my key layer. So if I need my key layer, I have to switch it back. And once I switch it back, I have to turn off the record button on my HyperDeck, which gives me this camera right here you're seeing. And if I turn it off by hitting the play button, it'll go right to my subscribe logo and start playing that. You guys are seeing the key layer. Here's the fill layer. And if I change to me, I can still go in to my software. Which mouse do I need here? Control software, and get my mouse over there. There we go. What do I have in my DownStream key right now? My laptop. So let me put my media player there. Not my media player, my HyperDeck. And now I can play my Stinger logo, but something's off. Let's see, HyperDeck key, HyperDeck fill. There we go. So now I can play my subscribe logo, and that's playing on the air right now. So I can bring in my graphics. I can play a intro and outro. I can switch things up and bring in a second camera using my HyperDeck. I can bring in my OBSBOT Tiny 3 by using one of those switches on my desk and stealing that key output. So there it goes, and it looks janky because I just stole that input, and now I can cut to camera 4, and you guys now can see those two switches that are on my desk. You can also see this switch behind it. This lets me switch back here. This one lets me switch which HyperDeck is playing in my monitor in the studio. So I have 3 switches. Now, if you know the beginning days of my channel when I only had an ATEM Mini Pro, I had a bunch of switches in my studio, and they've been in my drawer. I only use one of them to switch HyperDeck 1 and HyperDeck 2 into my monitor so I can see it big screen. I have little 3-inch screens on my HyperDecks. That's why I recommend that new HyperDeck Shuttle 4K because it has a big screen, and that's a huge benefit. Plus, it has basically a monitor built into it that you can record and play back. And so I really want to get one of those. And if I do, I might use it in replace of my regular HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, which is what I play my intro video for. So that's what we did. So it's good to have Tony back tonight. So let's see, chat on the air. So I'll turn that off. It's good to have you, Jay. Great way to do super source on a Mini using OBS. I would have never thought of that. Yeah. Again, you got to set the output in your webcam out to preview. So again, just trust me, because if you don't, then you won't get that box. Your ATEM Mini Pro will display the other box. So just set the webcam out to preview, and you'll be set. Okay, Bowles Promo TV, good to have you tonight. Let's see, lots of things in this one. Let me read it. I use Switcher Studio and bring that iPad into my ATEM Mini Pro, and then that into my Director Mini. ATEM also brings in an old Sony Handycam 1080i, and I use the Photoshop export plugin Downsttream Key. That's cool, because again, Photoshop has the ability to export pre-multiplied graphics or keyed graphics, whatever you want to call it, and you have to add that plugin, but then you can export right from Photoshop into your ATEM media pool for an Extreme or for a 2ME or for an ATEM Mini, but it sounds like Bowles Promo TV is doing some tricky stuff here. So again, I use Switcher Studio and bring that iPad into my ATEM. So Switcher Studio is an iPad app. Then he brings his iPad into his ATEM Mini Pro, which you guys can do that. I've demoed that here. So again, that's great. My HD Constellation 2ME has one super source. Awesome. So it does have super source. So thank you, Grish, for clarifying that. So all of those ME models have super source, and I think that happened in a firmware update, because if I remember right, when they first released the one, oh, you have a 2ME constellation. Yeah, okay. The 1ME HD I don't think has super source, but the 2ME rack mount does, the 4ME does, so that's what I was talking about earlier, but the HD Constellation 2ME has one super source. And again, that was me questioning, does the 2ME has two super sources or one? And does the 4ME have four instead of two? And it sounds like Grish answered that question as well. The one thing I missed on the Xtreme G2 is the select bus to switch DVE inputs on the fly when using picture-in-picture. I use that all the time. It's a shame they took it out of the new version. So the one thing I missed on the Xtreme G2 is the select bus to switch DVE inputs. Yeah, that select bus they put on the top, a lot of people were really confused about that. It added a whole bunch of buttons, but yeah, you can control the inputs on key 1 Luma, key 1 Chroma, key 1 picture-in-picture, key 2, the same three, DSK1, which is downstream key 1, downstream key 2, DVE1, DVE2, and then you also have wipe, a logo button, and a dip button that you can program what goes into those, but the stinger button never did do anything, which is sad. We all thought they would update the stinger button and make it do something on the Xtreme. Yes, HyperDeck Shuttle 4K Pro is one of my favorite devices in my studio. Well, film, photo, I'm jealous, dude. I would love to know more about that. So if you would use my link in the description and ask for a free 1-hour consult, I would love to have a 1-hour Zoom with you and talk about your studio. It doesn't cost you anything. Anybody that wants to have my help for an hour can use that link. There's a form that you fill out. That's how I get your email. And you just request. Two real things I use that for. Requesting information from me or a free Zoom consult, signing up for my consulting program, or once a quarter I do a Zoom town hall that anybody from my live stream or from my channel can join, and you have to ask me to include you in that Zoom once a quarter, and you can request to be a part of the Zoom town hall. It's not recorded and it's not streamed live. It's just a chance to meet all the other people from my channel. I use it with an internal NVMe 2 terabyte. That's awesome. Those are getting really expensive right now. But again, that shuttle actually has the ability to put an M.2 card in it. So not only does it has the FD slot, an SS, I mean, was it a little mini SD slot in the back, you can also put a 2ME card in it or an M.2 card in it. Do you have to carry insurance to ride the electric bike? Yeah, I have an appointment to talk to my insurance agent. I was supposed to do it yesterday and I completely forgot. And Tony, if you want to text me, I have a story to tell you about my e-bike on Saturday. Let's just say I may or might not be sitting on a gel ice bag. And it's not because my bottom hurts from riding, because I put a brand new Cloud 9 seat on my bike. Anyway, I'd love to know if you guys would like me to talk about my e-bike some night on my channel, or if you think it would be a good idea to do some videos on it, or not. Makes no difference, but I'd love to get your input. Correct, the 1ME does not have super source. So that's a disappointing thing for them to come out with those new rack-mounted consoles. I know, Tony, you have the 2ME in your studio. Aaron Precky has the 4ME in his studio. But hey, Toto, it's great to have you from Germany, as always. Okay, so I'm going to change back to my laptop now that we got caught up with chat off the air. Get my laptop back in here so I guys can show you my laptop. Right now you're seeing the segue page. What was I going to do here? Let's put me back in picture. So me in a circle right there. And as we leave tonight, I wanted to do this. If you're not familiar, with H2R graphics, this is H2R graphics. John Barker created it here to record. I highly recommend this. This is the software I'm going to try to get working with the ATEM next week. I was just having issues with the fill layer going full screen and taking over my PC, and I ran out of time to fight it tonight. I don't know why my TV went off. But it is back on now, and it will populate here. So H2R graphics, I highly recommend. I'm recommending this HyperDeck, and it's great to have someone tonight on the channel that actually has one in their studio. Are you using it for fill and key in your studio? I'm sure you are. That's and put your real name, would you, in the comments. This is at Film Photo. We'd love to know your name. I love that you have the 4K shuttle in your studio, and I want to tell everybody I recommend that. You do need the converters if you're going to use the HyperDecks, either the shuttle or the one I have here, the Studio HD Plus, HyperDeck Studio HD Plus, because they have SDI out. So you have to convert it to HDMI unless you purchase a SDI model of the Extreme. So keep that in mind. And then you can get those with a power cord or without a power cord. I did not put an Amazon affiliate link in the description yet, but I'll try to add those. One with power cord and one without, but you can see it's 79 bucks for one of those. So they're not cheap. Also, let's shift cameras here in a minute. Because I think it's such a great tool because of the converter. Commercial playing on my channel. HubSpot did come out with the Tiny 3, the Tiny Titan. I have some videos here on my channel. And again, you can convert this. They have, by the way, they have a new talent coming out that was teased at NAB, and it sounds to me like it's going to be really powerful. But you can convert it. I heard a lot of buzz about the Meet 2 as well, but I don't own one of those. And I'm looking for the converter here. Let's do this. Tiny 3 UVC to HDMI converter. This looks like it. So again, $159. There is a version 1 and version 2, so make sure you get the right one. But you can convert and also use the Tiny 2 remote. Right here. So that's the remote. You can order it separate. That you can see right there. It's got a little USB dongle. And so again, the Tiny 3, you can use it with the Tiny 2 as well. The UVC to HDMI converter, and then you can bring in the OBSBOT Tiny 3 as a PTZ camera. There are some cheap PTZ cameras out there, but AVCam has some great cameras, but this is a 4K little camera. So it will actually do 4K, and the adapter will do 4K as well. And here is a kit, but that's the Tiny 2. You want the Tiny 3, but they're selling it right there as a kit. But I don't know if it says it's coming with the version 2 of the UVC to HDMI converter. Here's the old one right here. So pretty sure that is the new one in the picture that I showed you right here. See if they have a link. Yeah. So again, charging and webcam in, and then HDMI out, and then you can add the little dongle for being able to do some exciting things. So that's all I have. It's been a great night. Lots of comments happening. I will wrap it up here as soon as I catch up with all of your guys' comments. I'm not going to leave you hanging. So let me put chat on the air here, and let's see if I can catch up. Mustafa Morad. Wow. Did I pronounce that right? I hope so. I'm so honored that you are joining us in the live streams and sharing what you have in your studio. That's so cool. Chris says, I just picked up a Blackmagic Design Decklink Mini Monitor HD. That's a mouthful. To output OBS program to my ATEM for TVs around the church. Yeah, Aaron Parecki does that. So I probably should check into that. A Decklink Mini Monitor. That is the little device. So let's type this in. Decklink Mini Monitor. I don't have a spare Thunderbolt port. Well, they make this one. Well, I can't show you on the computer now because I'm using chat on my PC. That's a disadvantage. I wish I had one more input in my ATEM Mini Pro. I have to switch back and forth, which I can. I just got to push the button. But there's this version. But there's also another one, which is like a little box version. And I think that's the one that Grish is talking about. But I don't see it as a choice here. So this is called the Blackmagic Design Decklink Mini Monitor HD. And you said Blackmagic Decklink Mini Monitor HD. So is that the one you have? Mine will not do a key fill. I have another one that does, but for this purpose, I just need one output. So you are using the card, correct? Just to make sure. Why is my me in a little circle not coming up? What is going on here? Interesting. So there it is, camera 1 on the air, but it's in preview only. That is so weird. What is going on? Okay, well, I don't know what's going on, guys, but there's a little me only in preview right now for whatever reason. So let me turn that off the air. Oh, that's why. There I am. Okay, let's try that again. So yeah. So is that the one you're using, Grish? Just let me see that in a comment real quick. Holy cow. What? Yeah. Let me catch up with the chat here. I had chat on the air earlier. That's why it wasn't displaying correctly. Okay. My old one maxed out at 1080p 30, and I used 1080 Okay, so that's why he's using the new card. HDR works well as a web overlay in the Magewell Director. I'm a pro subscriber, so I can work on one computer and to the cloud. to the broadcast computer. That's really cool. I mean 5994, thanks for the update, Grish. Scoreboard and bullet points, that's cool as well. Bulls Promo TV. So again, H2R graphics. I also use my 2ME as a matrix switcher kind of device since it has 12 out. Yeah, that's one really cool thing about owning a 2ME is all the extra outputs, which is great. I wish I had those. I have 2 HDMI outs of my extremes. The SDI version of the ATEM Mini has 2 HDMI outs, but the ATEM Mini HDMI version only has 1 HDMI out. So you got to pick multi-view or super source, and I'm using the webcam out tonight to be able to do my trick in OBS. The converter is expensive, but boy, it is good when you own it. Of course, anytime you own it, that's great. But yeah, so check out that converter. It sounds really cool. I have room in my PC for something like that. Cool. Yeah, and if it's in your PC, you don't need a Thunderbolt. You have to use the HDMI out of it as an input. The nice thing about the Thunderbolt devices is that, like the new G2, is that the Thunderbolt carries 2 HDMI signals from your computer. But again, it uses Thunderbolt. But I don't own a G2, but one of my clients does. There's Grish's update. Yes, the 12 outputs are great. I think Aaron uses the Decklink Extreme. Yes, pronounced right. Great. I'm glad I pronounced your name right. And once again, I'm super excited that you shared Mustafa Morad. I probably pronounced it wrong the second time, but I got it right the first time. Mine won't do key fill. I have another one that does, but for this purpose, I just needed 1 output. Yes, I'm using this card. Cool. What you want is a Decklink Extreme for key fill. A Decklink Extreme for key fill. Let's type that in. Yeah, so put that full, the way you would look for it in B&H in the description. So you said Decklink Extreme, but what would be the full name so I can actually respond correctly to that? So then we'll go back to my laptop. So let's turn chat off the air. Let's go back to my laptop. And then I'm in the corner. So yeah, this is what I got. Sorry. So, but cool card. 1 output, 1 SDI output, it looks like. HDMI and 1 SDI. And you're saying there's an extreme card. Then again, there's a little one that has Thunderbolt out that Aaron Preki talks about on his channel. You can also use a Decklink Duo 2 for fill key, yeah. Decklink Duo 2 has 4 SDI programmable as in or out, so you could have 2 come in, 2 go out. That's pretty cool. Or you could have all 4 go out. And again, you could put them as inputs and use your PC as a switcher using all the software that's out there available to switch through a PC. So there's lots of choices. The last thing I wanted to say is this. OC 12 input switcher. This is getting a lot of, let's go NAB. So a lot of talk about this new switcher at NAB. This is just one of the videos, so make sure you check that out. This has got 12 SDI inputs, 12 HDMI inputs. It's pretty much like nothing that's been made so far It's not, it's in pre-production. It's not released yet. I don't have a price, but pretty stinking cool device. You got SRT, NDI built into this. You got multiple outputs. I think there's 4 outputs out of this, if I remember right. So go check this out. This guy right here is actually a streamer, but he was at the booth. I did not go to NAB, but he was at the booth, and I've watched some of his videos. This is a pretty exciting, it's not a Blackmagic design device, but it's a pretty interesting device. So let's get that off. So anyway, pretty exciting what's available now out there in the world of devices. So maybe we'll talk about that in the week to come. You can also use a Decklink Duo for key and fill, Blackmagic design Decklink Duo II. Yeah, that's how you would search for it. Sorry, I mean that. I mean, technically you can use an Extreme, but if I recall that the Extreme was the 4K one, I was really thinking about 1080 once. Unfortunately, it's now over $500. I don't remember it being $500. So yeah, a lot of price changes because of tariffs and everything else going on in the world. So, okay, well, with my HyperDeck, so I've got to turn off my my OBSBOT camera and take over the input again. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it looks like it's working and ready to roll my outro. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the ATEM Mini Pro. This is just week 1. I really believe that there's still a viable use for an ATEM Mini. Again, if you go to Blackmagic's site and you look at products, you can actually purchase an ATEM Mini Pro right now for $325. If you already have a laptop, you can get OBS for free. You can buy a webcam. You can use OBS to bring a webcam in. You can get H2R graphics, or you can use Aaron Parecki's Chrome extension plugin, which is what I'm using tonight to bring the graphics into OBS. So we'll be talking about that. I have a video on my channel. So next week we'll be back live from the ATEM Mini Pro. We'll see if we can push it even further without breaking it, but it is a lot of fun. So thank you, Tony, saying goodnight. Gris says the Mini shook up the market. Yes, it did, for the benefit of everyone. Yeah, they don't make the ATEM Mini anymore. They make the Pro, the ATEM Mini Pro, the ATEM Mini Pro ISO for $545, the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO G2 for $21.95. You can buy the ATEM SDI model, which doesn't record and doesn't stream for whatever reason, for $385. You can buy the Pro ISO, which does record every channel, does have 2 SDI outs, does record, does stream, doesn't do super source, but I showed you tonight the cheat in OBS. Since the 9.5.1 update from Blackmagic Design and the firmware update that came with it, which has been a while now, almost a year ago, it enabled the webcam multi-view, preview, and program out of the ATEMs, which helps you put preview in the webcam out. And now you can use the preview screen as a clean way to put whatever you want in the preview and then bring that into OBS and use it as a picture-in-picture tool. So you could be live on the main program out, but you could have preview be in something else, sneaking it into OBS, and then put that on the air as preview, and then you can use that as a super source. So $875 for the ATEM Pro ISO and $1645 for the ATEM SDI Extreme ISO. There is no more ATEM Extreme ISO model unless you buy the ones that are available out in the market, because it looks like Blackmagic Design is saying that if you want to have an Extreme ISO model, you got to buy the G2, which has the newer modern buttons, which I noticed that OC12 input device had the newer buttons on it, higher buttons. The OC device has video built in, again, SRT, NDI, I'm going to do a video on it on the channel once it's available and we have more information on that device. So, and then you can go to the console models, the rack mounted models, and now they have the crazy new high-end 2110 super fast through networking, these ATEM 4K or 4ME Constellation IP, ATEM 4ME Constellation IP Plus, but these you have to have other devices if you want to use them. So, and they're crazy priced. So anyway, that's enough for tonight. I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button. We'll look at the poll one last time before we roll out. There has been 19 votes. The question was, do you use an ATEM Mini, ATEM Mini Pro ISO, Mini SDI ISO? 69% of the 19 of you said yes, so just a little over 9, and 32% of you said no. So no, it's probably more like 13 yeses, and what is that? 5 no's approximately. So we will end the poll, and thank you guys for answering that poll tonight. Let's see if I can get it to end. There we go. So the poll is in. Good night, Toto. Thank you for that. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. Again, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and I hope to see you in the next video here on the channel. Let's hit the macro button. We'll talk more about the powerful tool of MixEffect with an ATEM as well, but this will be my only show of hitting the outro video. See you guys.